Hey y'all, Gary with Tennessee Stands. Hey, I had to hop on real quick and give my thoughts about what I just saw. I know some of you were online watching with us. The joint Ad Hoc Committee that was set to study the emergency powers statute just had their final and third meeting. We just streamed it online thanks to the few hundred of you who joined us online to watch with us. I just want to say right up front, cut to the chase, we are incredibly disappointed in our General Assembly in what we just heard on these recommendations on how they plan to deal with this statute coming into the next legislative session, or how they plan to not deal with it, quite frankly. And I will tell you, per the recommendations that they just issued publicly, Tennessee Stands will be vehemently against this bill and will vigorously pursue changes. And I will tell you why. Because it does, the House and the Senate, which I will say up front, the House did a much better job at trying to tackle some of the significant issues. The Senate was incredibly weak. But I will say this, none of the recommendations did anything to address the constitutionality of the statute. Nothing. Meaning, what can the governor do? Can the governor still make law? Can the governor still delegate power? Can the governor still do whatever it is he wants to do? Can city councils or county commissions or county mayors? They addressed a big fat none of any of those issues. All they did was talk about time limits, triggers for renewal of emergency powers and executive orders, and really that's it. I mean, there was a few other nuances, and I'll tell you some of them here. So the House would limit an emergency to 60 days, and an extension would require a joint resolution of the legislature. All in all, as far as that caveat, I like it. That's pretty good. I would like it shorter than 60 days. Representative Reagan from Oak Ridge, thank you for speaking to that point. We appreciate your comments. Appreciate you for being a patriot during this meeting. So thank you for that. But also, if the House recommended that if the General Assembly is not in session, that there is a legislative council that is in place that can issue a stay on the emergency. I like that as well, because that's exactly where we find ourselves right now. We're dealing with an emergency. We're dealing with the governor and county mayors issuing orders, and the legislature is not in session to do anything about it. So what the House has recommended is that there is a council in place that the legislature can step in via that appointed council and deal with the emergency. They can actually, by joint resolution, issue a stay. Here's the Senate suggestion. The Senate suggestion was nothing, just to leave it as is. Right now, today, by law, the General Assembly can call itself back into session by a 2/3 majority vote and legislate, deal with the issue. That's what the Senate suggested. They suggested no change. They suggested that the General Assembly would still have to call itself into session to deal with the emergency situation. My God, the height of insanity. Let's do the same thing that's not working right now. Way to go, Senator Hale. What a waste of time. Incredibly disappointing. On the Senate side, they would allow the emergency to last up to 100 days. 100 days. Over 3 months of nonsense and shenanigans that once again Tennesseans would have to put up with. Why? Because again, they've made no recommendations to make any changes or alterations to 58-2-107, which means per the Senate's plan, for 100 days, the governor could, guess what, still make laws. The governor could still just delegate powers as he feels like it to whomever he feels like it. This is absurd. This is exactly what our Constitution talks about in Article 1, Section 2, is the non-resistance to arbitrary power, where there will be no non-resistance here. We will resist this with everything that we have. We are not going to go into this next session and just continue to settle for a law that on its face is unconstitutional. I am charging right now every legislator, as you walk into this next session, to deal with the fact that you took an oath to pass laws that are constitutional. So you must deal with the constitutional aspects of this statute. The fact that governors can't make laws and the fact that governors cannot delegate powers to county mayors, to county executives, you must deal with this. Time limits and time constraints are not enough to deal with the fact that the bill is still unconstitutional. Last thing, both the Senate and the House suggested that whatever they may or may not do in this next session, that it does not apply to the current state of emergency. Okay, so just for example, let's just say we get to next session, it passes, and they pass the bill on the Senate floor and the House floor in April. Okay, and let's just say that we're still in our current state of emergency, that the governor has continued to extend the emergency. This bill would do nothing. Nothing. They have elected that whatever they do now will do nothing to hinder the current state of emergency as long as the governor continues to renew it. Crazy. I mean, that's explicitly what we want you to do, legislature. We want you to step in and fix this. Not in 2022, but now, right now. And it's amazing that you think the people of Tennessee are going to accept this and be okay with this. Finally, the last problem. Both the House and the Senate suggested that these changes only apply to a health emergency. So what they want to do is carve out an epidemic, set that aside, create a new section in the code, and leave the rest of Title 58 just like it is, unconstitutional. Which means that for any other sort of terror attack or natural disaster or anything else that might happen, the governor can still make laws. He can still renew powers every 60 days without legislative action. Nothing changes. So all of their recommendations that they are currently making will, all caps, only apply to the emergency situation if and only if it is a health emergency. So again, we're doing nothing to fix 58-107 and its constitutionality, its constitutional issues, in the midst of any emergency. Which means that if this even passes, the legislature is saying it is still okay for the government to take away all of your constitutional rights, do whatever they want to do in the midst of an emergency. That an emergency nullifies the Tennessee Constitution. This is insane. Legislature, you must deal with this. You took an oath and you have a duty to deal with the constitutionality of this law and to defend and protect the liberties secured by the state of Tennessee, by our Constitution, to your constituents, to the citizens of the state. This is your duty and responsibility. You took an oath to do this. You must fix this. What a wasted effort. 3 meetings of a wasted effort. This is all junk. We support almost none of it. It's back to the drawing board. And listen, if you follow Tennessee Stands, you need to go on our Facebook page, you need to watch the video for yourself, and you need to contact your representative and your senator and let them know that this is not going to cut it and that you are not happy with what's going on. And we're going to work on some suggestions that you can make to your legislators, but we've got to get this fixed. We have got to get this fixed. We are committed to staying in this fight with you. Until then, good Lord, keep on keeping on. Do what you can. Do not comply with arbitrary, unlawful, unconstitutional nonsense. And share this far and wide. Thanks.